What's up, guys? Ronin Man here. We got a question below the last video, and you're going to be surprised by my answer. We got Sky on the line. Sky's been on for 2 episodes. This is the third one. Welcome, Mr. Sky.
Hey, Paul. Thanks for having me. How's it
Dude,
going?
awesome. It's been good. These 2 episodes have been good. So let's rock a third one here on this topic. So yeah, for anybody who doesn't know Sky, we met at the Austin Summit, right? For the first time. Had you
Yep.
sent me any emails before that, or I can't remember.
No, just related to that first summit where we met.
Right, and then the next time was uh, how did we meet the second time then?
And then we ended up doing the road trip out to the West Coast together.
Because
Um,
okay, because I came out and then I was still there after the summit trying to decide what to do with the scooter, and then you're like, hey, I'd be totally into continuing. Nelson was going back to school. So that's right. That's right. Okay, that's right. Then we took off and then we came to California, and that was a very memorable time. That was a very memorable time. And you came to the San Francisco thing, and that was great. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you guys can get a
yep.
perspective. You started out, you were listening to Ronin Man, and then you came to the summit. Do you remember why you came to the summit? Can you remember? Just kind of.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, actually, because I had been listening to you a lot. And just because it's a pretty niche community, I never even conceived of the possibility of ever meeting anybody in this circle or you at all. Um, and and then I just got very busy in my life, and I moved to Austin, and I didn't really have any time. I probably hadn't listened to an episode of what you were doing in like months, but somehow it caught my radar that there was a summit that was going to happen in Austin, and I was like, fuck it, like I'm here, I'm definitely going to go, no question about it. And I did, and it was a great decision.
I totally remember now when you texted me actually on Telegram, because you were like, hey, I got a house here. Yeah, you were like very welcoming. And I always appreciate that, before the summits. Is because I get to a new city and I don't know people, you know what I mean? And you were like super welcoming. I always love that. It always makes a big difference for me. You
Oh,
know.
cool. Yeah. Yeah, it was that was a pretty awesome moment when that whole thing happened.
Yeah, that summit was great too, man. Fucking Kenji, man, he threw down, man. He was like so open with everything, and he's just a man's man, right? He's a perfect guy to do a summit, and fuck, that was a great time. That really was a great time, and at a weird time in my life too, in that period, and now we're good friends. So it's crazy how things work out. But okay, so
Yeah.
there was a comment below the video, and I sent it to you. So maybe go ahead if you could read that, and then we'll just kind of talk about it.
Yeah. So some guy said that he would really love to hear you speak about how you circumnavigate things like women asking you to be monogamous or asking about other women they know you're seeing. So do you tell them from the beginning that you're seeing other women? Is his final question.
Okay, right. So when somebody asks me a question, I'm very different than other guys. Most people will just answer the question, right? But I think with this question, we need to go back in time, because if someone's asking about multiple women, it's kind of like saying like, like say you don't have a job, right? And then you're like, well, what do I do when I get, $1 million? What am I going to invest it in, right? It's really important to say where you're at today. Like if you say like, look, I've had a job. When you're asking a question, if you really want a good answer, you got to say more stuff. Like for example, I have two girls right now, or I have one girl, another girl's interested in me. What would I say to do this or that, right? Because usually what it looks like, what this question looks like, is the guy's thinking like, I've never had multiple girls, and what would I tell them if I did? That's the first thing, is to really answer the question. I need to know where you're at. Like, where are you at today? How many girls have you had? How many times have you tried this? Is anybody interested? Probably not, right? Probably it's kind of like a theory question. Like, what would I do if I had multiple girls? And I don't like to answer those theory questions because they don't come to anything. Like there's no point in that. But what I see is a flaw in the basic question, and I want to go into that. And I think that's really, it's not about dating multiple women. It's kind of like we were just talking about before the call. It's like it's about you. It's about your question and your perspective on women and dating in general. So it seems to me what the question is saying, like, what will I do when she asks me this? How should I answer? And the feeling is that you're kind of a sitting duck. Okay, you're like a piñata, and she's got the stick, and if she hits you, you're fucked, right? So how do I maneuver this? So it's kind of like this. I guess you could say two ways of looking at it. One is like I'm wrong, and so she's judging me, and I have to make sure I kind of fit in the right way. Or yeah, she's the judge. She's the judge of things, right? And the thing is that perspective in a romantic relationship, you're not going to get anywhere with that. Not just with multiple women, but you're not going to get anywhere with one woman at all. It's the wrong perspective for women. And women don't like it. Women like confident guys. And they like guys who, and the thing is, just by hearing this answer will give you more confidence. Because now you will see where you're at. I want you to see where you're coming from so that you can reevaluate whether you want to come from there. Because a lot of times a guy will kind of know what he should be doing, but he won't really know where he's at. So he won't be able to adjust in any way. So I would say from that perspective, you're coming from a fear, like she's going to judge me, she's going to leave. And sometimes guys will even ask a question thinking it won't work. Like I remember this guy asked me the other day, totally off Ronin. It was just a guy that I was talking to. And he said, well, he was in his 50s. And he said, why would any young girl ever want to date a guy in his 50s if it wasn't for money? And this guy's a veterinarian. And basically I said, listen, it sounds like you've already made up your mind. Like he sounded angry. And I realized he did not want me to answer the question. He was saying younger women would only date guys who are over 50 when they're in their 20s is for money, and fuck you if you don't agree with me. And if you get it, then I hate you. Like there was no sense that he was saying, like, how do I do this? Or respect for me for like, even like when you ask a question, you're showing respect, right? You're saying, I value your opinion. I want to hear your opinion. I didn't feel like this guy was saying that, and I don't think this question is that way, but sometimes when it's multiple women, it can be like that. It's like, don't even tell me because I can't do it and fuck you anyway. That's sometimes the attitude. I honestly don't think at all this is that way. But when you get a question about women, you have to kind of like, where is this guy coming from? And I think where this one's coming from is not there, but it's coming from the perspective of girls are judging me and they can end it or grant me powers. And this goes to Disney, right? Think about Disney, right? When you were watching, did you watch Disney movies when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the magic? What does she usually have? What kind of magic?
Shoot. No, no, I'm trying to think.
Magic wand.
A magic wand, okay.
They got a magic wand. And the princess has a magic wand, and she will use that, and she will kind of bing, bing, and put power. It's the same in that there was an old TV show called Bewitched. And the girl, like she would wiggle her nose, but it was like she would bestow upon somebody something. And that is most people's perspective of life, is that, men are kind of these animals, rough, and women have a magic. They have an ability to bestow happiness upon others. And all that is that women, because it's not acceptable in Western society. I mean, well, there's obviously people that are gay, but in straight guys, it's not acceptable to have sex with guys. So the only ones who can make you happy are women, right? So that's what they're talking about. In those Disney movies, they're really showing that they're teaching young women that you will have the power soon to bestow incredible happiness on men. And you have to be careful about how you use this power. And if you watch those shows, again, with that in mind, I've never heard this ever said before, but this is exactly what they're teaching the girls, is you will have immense power in the future. And it's like, you have to know how to control it and how to use it. And a lot of men believe that too, is like women can, you can get lucky with the girls. I think it's very important as a man, as an adult male, you have to totally get rid of that idea, that thinking. Women are not going to bestow any happiness with sexuality on you. Jerking off is just as good as sex. Once you've had a lot of girls, you'll realize that. There's not a big difference. It's fine. And when you're younger and you don't have experience, you'll think, I have to do it or I'm not a man. But once you have, you'll realize it's totally stupid. And of course you're a man. There's nothing to do with it, right? So I'll tell you right now, you're a man. There's nothing, you don't have to earn anything to be a man. You're 100% a man. And if you want to have sex with a girl, you can have sex with a girl. You can't, but you can self-satisfy. That's totally fine. There's no difference for you, except for the fact that you can learn something from interactions with women. There's value there. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's exactly the same, but as far as coming, right? And that's what it is. It's like they're bestowing that on you. And I don't accept that. Like I know that I have value. Women like me. And also I know that I don't need women at all. I can be completely happy with myself. Completely. And because of that, it's a hidden insecurity is what guys have. And then so they're waiting for women to come and kind of please them and make them happy. And they don't want to lose them. And that's the perspective. That's fucked, you guys. You can't have that perspective. You're a man. You're the prize. You're the guy. Women are looking for a guy, the captain of the ship, to take them through this tumultuous life. Whether they want to get married or not, it doesn't matter. This metaphor is 100% true for women. Whether it's a man, it could be a friend of theirs, it could be their father, it could be husband, it could be, they're looking for, women look to men. They want a man who will lead them through this difficult life, because life is difficult. And men, look at the Ukraine right now. I was just reading, this woman was on news and she was crying and she said, it's amazing. She goes, all the soldiers out there, they were just salarymen working, carrying briefcases like last week. And now they're all out there fighting, and they're fighting for us. And she was like, I thank you so much. And she said, kind of, it's amazing that guys can so quickly become soldiers and protect women and protect society and fight for things, right? That is what we are. And that is what you are. So she is not there. She's not going to fight for you. You're going to go out and do the tough stuff in life. And that's the way it is. And women, they need a rock. They want to have a rock in their life. And that's what you are as a man. So when you put them above, you're not a rock anymore. So it doesn't even matter if you have sex with her or not. You just don't want to put yourself in that position. And she doesn't want you to either. Women don't want you to be a weak guy. That doesn't make them happy. They're shit testing you so that you can win. They want you to be the guy that makes them feel good. They might not like you. That's the weird thing about mating. They might fuck you and marry you, have kids or whatever. It doesn't mean they like you. It means that they respect that role for you. You know what I mean? Like, you can never have it all. You can never have it all. Don't be too greedy. Just be happy with what, but women, they're not your judge. You are the judge of yourself. You are out there you're ready to fight like these Ukrainian guys. It's not even a metaphor. Those guys are dying. Blood, arms flying off, bullets, missiles. I mean, this is the real world. That is you as a man. You're 15 minutes away from that. If we get invaded, it is the way it is, or whatever country you're in. So you got to know that. You have to know that. It's not an ego thing. It's just a reality thing. And we're like a black hole. We have a very weird life, our life. And you have to accept that darkness of a man, that quietness of a man. And that solemnness as a man, you can't be like constantly pulled by what a woman thinks, right? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So basically what you're saying is that the actual diction of the question that this guy is asking betrays his sort of insecurity, because he's giving, it's like, hey, there's this question that's going to come. If I have multiple women, there's this question that's going to come. And I've already admitted to myself that I'm in the wrong, or I believe that I'm in the wrong. So how is there some way I can answer this that like sort of skates me by, even though by phrasing this question in this way, I'm sort of like admitting that I'm in the wrong, or believing that I'm in the wrong. You know, instead of being like, I don't know if I said that right, but like basically that it's like, well, I want the hack, like you have some hack. It's like, you know, most guys, they get asked this question and then they're like, they don't have the right answer and they get shot down. But then you're like, well, you know, you say abracadabra and, you know, touch them lightly on the shoulder, and then that's how you do it. But that's not how you do it. The way you do it is by being the guy that's confident in himself and isn't going to be like, she has the ability to say whether I'm right or wrong. Because the truth is that women want guys that are hot. And they're going to choose those guys that have the ability to have multiple women over the guys that can't. Right?
Sometimes, some girls, not every girl, not every time, but I think the thing is, I wouldn't say insecurity. I would say like this is the standard viewpoint for most men. And until the internet, almost all men kind of had this perspective. And guys used to joke about it, you know, like, she's my better half. She's the one, you know, it was always like kind of putting her on a pedestal. And I think it's not that you want, you are darkness. You are a black hole. You are a force of nature going through this tumultuous world. And a lot of women are very, they want to join. They want to be a part. They want to follow, like be sucked in behind the comet, behind the power. It's like you're this massive, powerful thing coming down the street. They want to get inside that and go through life. In other words. So, and
if you're telling them that they're more powerful than you, then you're not that for them.
Right. Yeah, right. So it's not even about multiple women. It's not even about single women. It's really about how you see yourself as a man. You don't want to see yourself as a guy who I mean, yeah, okay, look, the girl might leave you. Okay, if you tell her, you know, just to answer his question, you have two choices. Okay, you can either tell her the truth, or you can kind of, well, you could also totally lie, which I don't recommend. Or you can kind of like dance around and play a little bit of a game where you're not telling her, but you're telling her. And those are the two options, the two good options. And some guys are very straightforward. A lot of my friends, one of my friends, like I talk about Owen Cookhurst, he will tell them directly, I'm dating multiple women. There's other women. And that's his style. I will not. But what I will do is I will leave something in the room that makes it extremely obvious that there's other women. So I'll leave, you know, the girl will leave her makeup, or she'll leave the panties or a ring or something, and I'll just leave it in the room. And then she'll come in and say, are you dating other women? And then I won't answer. I won't like directly tell her, right? I'll joke about it. Like, I wear the panties, or that's my ring, or whatever. And they'll be like, it doesn't even fit, you know? And they're like, that's impossible. Like, and then I joke around about it. And the reason why I do that, and I'm telling you, nobody, I don't know why. Listen, Sky, I'm telling you, this is the best way to be. I swear to God. It sounds really weird because a lot of guys today, they say, well, I'm going to tell the girl the total truth. And I think that's a fine way to be. It depends on your personality. But the other way, the more playful way, where you're not exactly answering and you're kind of like letting her know anyway, but you're not like, at the same time as you're not intimidated. You're not like, oh, hey, if she finds out, I'm crushed. You know what I mean? You're kind of taking a playful thing about it, but they're like, they now know there's another woman. The reason why I don't say directly myself is because I found that, I guess everybody has different skills, but when I did it, I found that what the woman would do in her mind was she would then get an image, like the women are very visual, right? So they, like, if you think of a porn movie or you think of something specific, right? They get an image of me having sex with another woman. And then that movie is now playing in their mind. And they can't get it out of their mind. So they have to leave me. Because the image is so terrible to them. It just rips them apart. They don't like it. And so sometimes I've had girls when I told them straight up, and they would still love me, but they would leave because they just couldn't. It was too much for them. Like they were totally in love with me, and they couldn't deal with the fact that there was this other girl, and they kept thinking about it, and I couldn't get them to stop visualizing it. Right.
Hmm.
So what I do is I let them know in a way that doesn't let them create a visual.
Right. It's kind of like basically you're giving them two choices. It reminds me of there's this concept. I don't know if we talked about it in one of the last episodes, but like in pickup where you're kind of you're not just giving them super positive body language right away. It's actually kind of negative. Like you're interested in them as a person. Like you're talking with them. You're saying like, oh, cool. Like we're connecting. You went to this country. Oh, I did that too. And by the way, like whatever. But you're not necessarily facing them directly. Or like it's kind of like there's this contradiction between your body language.
No,
and your
no. I know what you're talking about, but no. This is a different thing. This is just a different way of telling them. It's just a different way of telling them without.
But it's giving them the option to not have, because if you are telling them verbally, or like if you allow them to have, like if you're basically, you have to give them an out so that they don't have to create that visual, right? Is what you're saying. And if you're saying like whatever, like something totally different.
Okay. What I'm really saying is this. Okay. Every relationship. Okay. There's a certain amount of gas in the tank. Okay. If you're not going to marry them, right? Let's just say there's 20 gallons in there, right? And the girl has that much feelings for you, okay? So you're gonna have challenges, right? So let's say you've only burned like 2 gallons, right? And then this comes up. Now, if there's still 18 gallons in the tank for her, and you don't tell her directly, but she knows, but at the same time, you won't be bowled over. And at the same time, you're not mean, like you're not putting it in her face. You're not, you like her. You know what I mean? It's just that you are an attractive guy who's in demand. And that's kind of the way it is right now. The truth is that with an attractive guy, this is what guys have to understand, is she has not won you over yet. See, because there's competition for you, right? And so once the real woman realizes, damn, this guy's like actually very attractive, right? And then she'll take a different perspective where if she sees that you don't have much to offer, then it's do or die. There's no gas in the tank, right? Whereas when there's 20 gallons and there's only 2 taken, then if you don't piss her off and you don't do it really clumsy and you don't create a visual that ruins everything in her mind, she's got 18 gallons left, and she'll allow you to do that, to not answer, and to kind of play around until those gallons are gone. And so that's kind of the way it is. Like if you play it right and you don't say directly, but you let her know, right? She'll forgive you as long as she still has juice for you in the tank. And then as years move by, I've noticed this with, because I'll be having many girls, and then like one girl, I'll say something, I'll do my little playful thing, and then she'll be like, don't do that. Like, and then like I still got part of her, you know what I mean? But she's fighting against it now. And now she's like, she understands my power as a man. She's kind of like, okay, I get it. You're very funny and you're very playful, but like, this is getting more serious than that. And that's the thing, is like, you're in a conversation and then you realize that somebody died, right? The solemnness of the conversation totally changes, right? No more laughing, no more, you know what I mean? And so it depends on where she's at in her own life. As long as you don't fuck it up. If you fuck it up and you just like do it wrongly, she'll leave you and you'll never know. But I always look at it like there's always a lot more gas in the tank. Whenever she quote unquote catches me, that means that she didn't plan it, right? So it's just like abrupt. And so it's not over yet. There's still more. So I just kind of play it along, and then she's like, okay, and then she kind of goes with it. And she might say a few things about it here and there, but overall she's totally cool with it because she still sees me as an attractive guy. And then I guess there's a point where she realizes that she's not going to get me. And that's because they still think that they can get you. Women are very confident in their ability to trap a guy or to marry a guy. So when they finally realize that I'm actually not going to marry them, right? That's when they shift. That's when they kind of control themselves. Women they're very good at making decisions and going one way. Guys are not as good at that, actually. Guys have a harder time. Girls will be like, you know what? This guy's not going to marry me. Like I thought he was. And I know, and they might like you and everything, but they get practical. Girls are very practical. So they're like, that's it. It's not going to work. He doesn't love me, or he's not going to marry me, right? And that's it, right? So let me why don't you talk and I'll turn off this phone.
Okay. Yeah. I was just letting all that sink in a deep way, but I think you're getting to like, you're operating from the mindset of like, there's a lifetime, there's a limit to the time that you have with one of these girls. And I'm not sure exactly where you're going with that in the end and how you're going to connect it back in. So if the phone is off, maybe you could talk about that a little bit.
It's what I realize is that there's you when you confront a challenge, you have to think about it in perspective. In other words, so where are you with her right now? Like, where is she coming from? How far has this gone? How old is she? In other words, if let's say that she's a certain ethnicity where she's from this country that, they get married at a certain age. So I guess in America, that would be, what age would that be? The real pressure age for American girls.
I mean, 30, I think, in America.
Okay, so let's say 30. So you're dating an American girl. So she's 30 and no longer is she the carefree girl. So she's not going to have as many gallons in the tank for you anymore, no matter how cool you are, because she's got to protect herself. She's got limited time, and she's got to manage her time, right? She's got to manage her emotions. She's got to make good decisions so that her future is good. Just like you might want to save money or start a 401k or whatever. You want to have fun. You want to go drinking or whatever, but you're like, you know what? If I put this money in stock, I'm going to be better off in the future. And so the girl's thinking that way when she's 30. So if the girl's like, say, 18, then she's going to be much more likely to have a lot of gallons in the tank with you, as long as she has fun with you, right? But then as she gets older, and also as she realizes you're not going to marry her, then she gets kind of serious about ending it, So be playful is my opinion. And just kind of like that Shaggy song, it wasn't me. I saw you on the bedroom or the kitchen floor, whatever, it wasn't me.
The bathroom floor.
Yeah, the bathroom floor. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. And that attitude is really powerful. That's the old school attitude, man. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. And that's always been my thing. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. And girls, depending on where they're at, they will accept it or not. So like I said, if they're 30 and they're American and they want to get married, then there'll be a point where they're totally going to blow up, right? And they're going to say, cut the crap. What's the deal? And as a man, that's when you have to say, let them go. Like the fish. You got to take it off. You got to let it go. Be honest with her. Just I would just say, look, I would be super honest. I would say, this is it. In my mind, I'd take a breath. I'd say, because you're like a train going one way in a relationship, right? Or even if you're dating multiple, each one of them, you're kind of going in this direction, and then suddenly something happens, right? This is a very traumatic thing, right? She finds out you have another girl, and so you have to be ready. Like, hey, look at her face, where she's coming from, and decide what you want to do. But if she's still having fun, then take the playful route. And then once she gets up to that point where it's very important for her to move on, and also she kind of realizes that you're not gonna commit, and she's kind of had fun with you, then let her go. Take the kind route. Just say, hey, I might be totally straightforward with a girl like that. and just say, I've really enjoyed knowing you. And I think, you taught me a lot about, when, I just thinking about any specific girl, you about the cell phone, when cell phones first came out, smartphones is one girl, she taught me so much. Just being with her really taught me a lot about cell phones. She was kind of a genius with phones. And so I appreciate them for what they have given me and what we've had together. And then I just figured, kind of this is it. And the girl will start crying. Like when she realizes that here's the thing. A lot of guys, when they break up or when it ends, they act like bitches and they won't admit it. They get really, really sensitive and they've had a lot of ugly breakups. It's you have to be ready for anything, So when it does come to the end of any relationship, have some class. You know what I mean? You show them, I always let them know. I'm like, hey, I really enjoyed, hanging out with your mom and meeting you and your sister. And they're like, whoa, like Ronan's talking a totally different way than he usually does, right? They know that you've changed too and you've accepted it. And then they'll just start fucking bawling because they'll realize that it's totally over. And also that you're a good guy, is you're kind of like, you're just not the marriage type, you're just not going to marry, and also you don't owe her that. She's not above you. She's not your employer. She's not your mom. And you're not her dad. You're just two people, right? And you just kind of go into another mode where you're kind of like, she's an ex-girlfriend already in my mind. And I'm like, really enjoyed it hanging out with you. And that time when you helped me with that situation was really awesome. And, and then don't say much else. And then they'll be like, oh, shit. Because it sounds like a funeral, right? It sounds like a funeral for a relationship. And you're really letting her go at that point. But if it's not at that point, then why kill it? She doesn't want you to kill it either. The reason why she's got the gas in the tank, she's looking for a guy, believe it or not, and every girl on here knows, she's looking for a guy who's going to outsmart her, outfox her until the gas is gone. Okay, she's got a certain amount of gas per you, and she doesn't want to leave early. The women hate the guy who's such an oaf that he fucks it up. They want you to play that. They want you to keep them going. They still have there's something they're enjoying with you, right? So just kind of,
like if they were out. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Like if they're out, like I think because like earlier before, when we were just discussing some stuff before the episode started, there's this difference in, like, I think there's like a lack of understanding of what women are saying when they communicate from men's perspective. And one of the things is if you get caught doing whatever some other woman, or I don't even want to say get caught, but if they find out if that's happening and they're really angry, that doesn't mean necessarily that they're out. Like if they're out, they're just gone. Like sometimes it happens. This woman
right.
You're dating, and then they just are gone, and that's it. And that's when they're ready to go. Or if they're kind of like, there's like very little juice left, but you realize they're kind of like in love with another guy, but they don't want to admit it to themselves. And then you do that conversation where you say, listen, I had a great time with you. I really love your parents and, your brother, your sister. It's great. I love you. I want the best for you going forward. I love you as a person. And then they know, like, yeah, this is over. But just because a woman says, like, if I ever caught you with another woman, I would never, ever be with you again. That is not true.
Right. It's she might think it's true when she says it, right? She might actually think it's true. But the reason why she thinks it's true is because she thinks you're kind of a beta guy. But then if she finds out that you're not a beta guy, that you're much more powerful than she thought, then she'll immediately shift. So she's kind of telling the truth in a way, because she's assuming. See, most guys are very weak and they won't admit it. That's the thing. There's a lot of guys are total bitches with girls, like in breakups, in everything, and they won't admit it. And this is what drives girls crazy: is guys act like they're so tough around their friends, but when they're around her, they're very weak and they're very insecure. So that's just. It's a sad thing, You got to be honest with yourself. If you're being weak, go look at your old ex-girlfriends, how you broke up, and analyze those and see when you were like that. and learn from that and be honest with yourself. You know, we're not always perfect, right? It's just a matter of just always getting better, I kind of little bit lost train of thought, but I think the other thing for this guy is that don't ask theoretical questions. If this is a theoretical question, they're not good. If you really want to ask a question, really be honest. Like, here's where I'm at. I'm totally broke. I'm trying to do this. You know what I mean? Like, give whether it's me or somebody else, give a background on where you're at so that the person can really answer your question. Because
Yes.
yeah.
Like, basically, like, if you want to have multiple women, then the question is, what do I need to do to get to the point where I can have multiple women?
But where are you now? Like, what have you done? Because there's sometimes I have this on the sugar mama video. I'll have guys who will say they want a sugar mama, but they really don't have any skills with women, and they have no history of successful women, right? And that's like saying, it really is like saying, like, I want to play professional football, but they've never played football and they're not good at sports. Like, it's just really not smart to come from that perspective, because how the hell, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, dude, like, let's get real. And also, like, just, as a guy, whether you have girls or not, you're a valuable guy. I want to answer your question. I want to get in there and bring you to the next level on something, right? But how can I do that if I don't really know where you're at, right? So I need to know too, like, where are you at? Like, are you dating one woman and you want to add another woman? Because usually, if you do want to date multiple, it's kind of hard if you have a girlfriend, because you probably have set in stone a lot of things that you're going to be. Okay, I remember one guy, and he said to me, he was really pissed off at me one time, and he said, you treat women like this and this and that. And this guy was married, and I had taught him how to date multiple girls, and he was dating multiple chicks when he was married, right? But then he had decided to go back to his wife, right? And I didn't take it seriously, because I knew that I wouldn't do what he did. Like, I would have gotten divorced and then dated a bunch of chicks, and then I would have played the multiple thing game with them, right? I wouldn't have taken a girl who totally committed her life to me, and then just I basically wasn't like him. Like, it looks to him like we're the same, but I actually have morals, right? I actually do. And I will not, there's a lot of things, like, they might be hard for people to understand, but if you listen, my morals are completely consistent. Like, they're rock solid consistent. And I'm not going to marry some girl and then all of a sudden, and then be committed to her totally, and she's committed to me, and then all of a sudden just start dating other chicks, right? Like, I was single. That's what this guy didn't realize, is I was fucking single and he was married. So he was actually talking about himself, He was being a total scumbag. I knew his wife, and she was very nice, actually. And he had cheated on her with, like, fucking 100 girls. Like, and
Oh my God.
yeah, oh yeah. He had really fucking gotten out there. And yeah, I knew one time he fucked 5 girls in one day. Like, he was cheating on her like a motherfucker. And she was fucking nice. She was a good housekeeper. She had a baby with him. She was like a good mother. She was actually still cute, and she was young. And she, like, there was nothing. That girl did not deserve that guy, to be honest. You don't have to be monogamous, but you do have to be a human being. And there's ways to do everything. And a lot of guys, they think, if I don't do, like, let's say the standard thing, like get married, then all bets are off. Then I can just do whatever I want. And Ronin doesn't give a shit about girls. He just does whatever. It's not true. There's a lot of things I calculate as I'm going through things. And they're kind of living in a fantasy, like, that other guys don't have to worry about. We all have to live in reality. We all have to make decisions, and we can all hurt people, right? And we can hurt ourselves, and we can waste opportunities, right? So there are values even if you date multiple people, right? That's very important to know. And also, there are rules. Like, one of the things that drove me crazy was when I actually went out with like pickup artists, like famous pickup artists, because I didn't know. I kind of just did it over in Japan and Asia, like on my own. And then when I came to the States and I actually met people that were like famous and doing it, I realized that they didn't have the same values I had. And this, I'll just lay down my values for a wingman, is when I go out with you as a wingman, my number one value is you. So I have a friendship with you, and now we're going out to meet girls, right? So at the end of the night, whether we pick up girls or not, it doesn't even matter to me. As long as we have a good time and we're joking around, both of us enjoy ourselves, that was a winning night. And so, for example, we go out and then you chat up girls first, right? So you go chat up a couple girls on Rainy Street or whatever. And again, I'm going to come in. Did you hear this before? Did I tell you this? Or did you hear this on a video?
Oh, and I don't know what you're about to say, but I definitely know one thing that happened when you were with Julian on Rainy Street.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. I was just using Rainy Street as an example. But what I do is I will. Okay, this is just a basic thing. This didn't happen actually, but I'm just giving you an example of the way I worked it. So once I was with a guy and we were like officially going out, right, as wingmen, what I would do is you would talk to girls. So then you would kind of motion for me to come over, for example. Now I would come over, but because you opened the set, right, I would just kind of stand there and wait for you to decide which girl you liked and if you wanted to stay. And the reason why is because I'm giving you respect for taking the risk of opening these girls. So you did the work. You opened the sale, right? You got the customers talking. I have no right to come in and then just take a client, right? Let's say it's sales, right? I respect your opening skills to get this thing going, right? And then once you decide, okay, I want this girl, then I will say, okay, then I'll start, or if you motion to me or you put your arm around one girl, then I will know, okay, that's the green light. So now I can talk to the other girl. But until then, I kind of mute myself. I mute my attractiveness. I mute my humor. I mute my sexuality. I mute everything. And I'm kind of waiting for you because you're the man. You open the girls. And then when I open the girls, so I go, open means talk to and get them talking, right? So when I get them talking, I expect the same respect from you. Is that you come in and you're like, okay, Ronin started the conversation with these girls, let's say at the tables, right? And then you're kind of waiting to see what I do. And then finally, I start talking to one more than the other. And then I kind of like motion. And then you're like, okay, cool. I'll talk to the other one, right? At the end of the day, you're looking at me like, hey, what does he want to do? If he's like, say I suddenly totally don't want to talk to you anymore, I'm going to get up and go. You might say something like, hey, before we go, like, let me get your number, but I got to go with my friend because you're backing me up, right? And that's the thing. So in my morals, in my values as going out with men, as a wingman, is that the guy who does the work always gets the choice and always gets the respect. And what that does to two guys is what usually happens is one guy's usually better at pickup than the other guy most of the time. And so one guy will go do it. And the other guy, the best way to win is to wait for the other guy to go open the girls and then to go up. And then, okay, so one guy talks to girls first, right? And then the other guy comes in. If the other guy comes in very strong and starts taking over, the girls will like it. Because girls like
even if they're friends.
Yes.
Even if they're friends, you say.
Well, no, because the girls will like the fact that guys are fighting over them. So then it becomes kind of an alpha battle for the girls. So if you come in, it's kind of like your girlfriend. It would be very easy for me to hit on your girlfriend because you guys are together, right? And so women love when guys kind of compete over them, right? And so if I flirted with her, she would be more apt to respond than if I was just a random guy on the street, right? Because then all of a sudden it's a thing, me and you, right? As a wingman, as a friend, you can never, ever give in to that, ever. And whenever a guy does it, breaks this rule, I immediately notice and I say something. you have to totally control yourself when you're, it's the opposite of what guys think. Guys think, oh, multiple, you're just out there, you don't have to do anything. You fucking do whatever you want. No way. There's a lot of rules if you want to succeed. In one, you give respect to the opener. Two, you let him decide because he's now in there. When you open, you expect the same respect from him. Then also, you never flirt with a guy's girlfriend, ever. And a lot of guys, they won't admit what even flirting is, but they'll make a joke. They'll do this, like little sexual this. And the girls, they love it because now, again, this is competition. And so the girls want to see, is my boyfriend really alpha? So is he going to shut this guy down or not? But what will often happen is because it's a friend, you won't want to shut the guy down. But then she'll look at you lower now. See, so that's very bad frame, very bad frame. You got to be very disciplined. Never let your eyes catch with your friend's girlfriend. Never pause with them. Never stop around the corner where you're just the two of you for even a second. Just kind of tone down your sexuality, tone down your masculinity. Just kind of be along for the ride and big up your friend when you're with a wife or girlfriend, right? And especially when you leave. So let's say you go to the bathroom. Okay, so that's when guys do it. So I'm alone with your girlfriend. You go to the bathroom. I'm going to say, fucking Connor the other day, he was a man, he did this and I was blown away. And she's going to look at me like, whoa, these motherfuckers are actually friends. Because girls are so used to guys being bitches. You wouldn't believe it. Guys do bitchy things all the time. They don't even understand they are. But the minute their friend leaves, they start kind of telling stories that make them look strong, make them look virile, or whatever the hell. And that is a terrible, terrible frame because in the moment, she will go for me because I'm being more alpha, right? And just more destructive. And the girls kind of like that in a way. But at the end of the day, what's that?
Explain that? You said more destructive, or can you explain that?
It's because the girl, okay, they want to find out if you are a really powerful guy or how powerful you are, right? So if you come in and fuck it up, that means the guy wasn't that powerful. If you're able to do it, right? Whereas if you don't, so the girls kind of like it because it saves them time. Because they find out their boyfriend is kind of less masculine than they thought. And so they're kind of like, okay, thanks. And then they might fuck you once or whatever. But basically, they're going to get rid of both of you. But they will kind of appreciate it because you kind of out-alpha the her husband or boyfriend. And then there's something in the woman. I don't know if it's like mating genes or whatever. They kind of want to mate with you or whatever, but they don't really want to go with you. They kind of see you both as lower now because you're not real friends. One of the key things is you want to big up your friends, which is going to be your instinct, opposite of your instinct as a man. As soon as the other guy leaves, you want to say, hey, by the way, I've been sailing my whole life, or whatever it is, right? I climbed that tree, I cut down that fucking tree, no big deal, and that's your instinct. You have to control that. Don't do that with your friends, girlfriends, wives, girls that they're talking to. And then when they're gone, you big them up, and you will be, your friend will be more successful, and you will be more successful because you don't know how rare that is. You don't know how bitchy guys are. Most of your friends hit on your girlfriend. That's a fact. And you don't even know it. You think that like the beta guy next to you is a cool guy because he's beta. Fuck that. Beta guys are the first guys to do this. And they often justify it because they'll say, well, I can't get girls like him, so he can spare a couple or something. They think of something. Anyway, it's not good. It is not fucking good. Do not do it. Do not fall into it. And the girls will, when they realize that you guys are friends, even when the other guy's gone, she'll respect her boyfriend more and she'll respect you more. Right? And then she might introduce you to a friend. She might get you laid even better, because she's like, fuck, these guys are cool guys. Like, it's kind of rare to meet two cool guys. Very rare, actually. You see one, but it's kind of hard to find. But two cool guys together, fuck, that's very attractive. So
this is all so true. So true. This is great.
It's just something I've noticed over time. Don't really control yourself because you're going to want to do it. You will, because you'll see in her eyes she wants you to do it too. And it's like you gotta fucking don't do it. And I tell you, I learned this very young. And when I went out with these pickup guys, what really shocked me is they didn't have the same values. They would try to pick up girls that I picked up, and they would
Or cock block you, right? Like I remember you told
yep,
me a
yep,
story about on Rainy Street, since
yep,
we're talking Austin. You were out on Rainy Street before I ever met you.
yep.
And you were with
Don't say any names. Yeah, don't say any names.
well,
Yeah, I was with somebody, right? And
you were with somebody, and
yeah,
basically they were really skilled, actually.
yep,
And
yep.
shouldn't have needed to really compete or take anything that you worked for. Like, basically shouldn't have needed to do exactly what you're telling guys not to do. But, and you were actually pulling a threesome.
Yep, I had
Right
two
off Rainy
girls,
Street.
two girls that wanted to go home, college students, and it was really amazing. It was really cool. Both of them were totally into it. And what was funny too was I had a dry spell before that. Like no girls were interested in me for like a while. Like I talked to many girls, and not that they were totally not interested, but it wasn't like they were down, right? They weren't DTF, right? Down to F, right? These girls were DTF, both of them. One of them first, and then the other one too. And I was like, this is amazing. So this guy came up, and then he saw that I was being successful, and he got jealous because he had not had a threesome on the whole time we were together. And he saw me pulling these girls, and they were totally into it. And then he just like came in and fucked it up and left. And I was so shocked because I thought, of all guys to do this, that guy, what the fuck? And I realized that, just because a guy's good with women doesn't mean he's not insecure, right? So guys have insecurities, you have insecurities, I have insecurities. They come out in different ways. But I say fight against them and be honest with yourself. Face them, Because this guy is a good guy anyway. I still like the guy, actually. But I definitely saw an envy. Pulling a threesome was too much for him. Two college girls, and I was like 50 years old. There was too much. That was too much for him.
Right. And yeah, I mean, there's that urge to cock block, and part of it too, I think with that situation is that he crafted an identity around, an identity around being like this guy who's really good at this. And then you're basically an amateur, but you're not just any amateur, you're a natural, right? You didn't
Yeah.
It's not like you decided I'm going to get good at this. You're just fucking good at it. And it just happened. And it's like, in order for him to maintain his frame is like, I have value and there's a reason why guys are paying me to show them how to do this. It was kind of like,
It could have been something like that. It could have just been, looking in their eyes. The guy was very in tune with women. And when he saw their eyes, I think it was that. I think it was like they were not just down, they were into it. And that drove him, that really pushed him over the edge, because you know what I mean? It's one thing to pull a girl. It's another thing when they're like kittens and they're totally like waiting for the tiger, right? They were kind of like that. And he was smart enough to know that. And so that I think was it. I think that was it. I think it was just like, fuck,
And how did he actually cock block you?
He just, I don't even want to say, it was really sad actually. Yeah, it was sad. But
you have to say, come on.
No, he ruined it. He ruined it. Yeah.
I know he did, but like how? Like the fact that you're saying it's sad, like.
Well, I don't want to say it
because
just in case somebody figures out, I don't want to say, but I just know that everybody's human, right? This guy is still a good guy, even if you figure it out. He's an awesome friend, But this was something that was a lot for him. If some reason it hit him a certain way, I don't know. And maybe he wouldn't even, remember. But it was that's definitely something I remember. because I was kind of having a dry spell too, and I wasn't really trying. In fact, I had gone out to the car because I was kind of tired of being there. Because I don't drink. It was getting late at night, and I had kind of gone out to the car to get something. I don't know if it was a jacket or something. And I'd kind of walk. I thought, fuck, I wish we could just go home, And I was like, oh, we got to go back. And then I went back, and I kind of came in one of those, those houses on Rainy Street. There's kind of like, almost like fraternity house feelings, And I came in the backyard, and the girls were right there. And then they just kind of started talking to me. And I was kind of, like, I wasn't feeling good. I wasn't, like, making the move. Hey, I just started talking to one very casually. So it started really natural, and I hadn't even tried to do anything. And in fact, I was feeling kind of insecure because I actually hadn't had any success at all yet that night, and I had seen a lot of success around me. So, we all have good nights and bad nights, you know.
That's very interesting because I think people have a perception of you. I mean, maybe I even have a perception of you as like just slaughtering, like there's no tomorrow, just like Julius Caesar conquering Gaul. And it's just like
It all depends on the night, It depends. You
yeah.
get it. You get in those modes, for sure, and you look back at yourself and you say, "Fuck, that was me." As a man, when you look back at your life, you're gonna see that there's things that you did that were just amazing. You can't believe. You don't even know how you had the balls to do them sometimes. Whether we're starting a business or whatever. But a lot of times you're just a normal guy. You have insecurities. You're dealing with things, but you just try one more time. Whereas the other guy kind of gave up. So it kind of a lot of success is just hard work too. And that night, I think it was just me being forced to be there is what made that happen. I had the skills. I think what it was. Now I think about it, I know what it was. Here's what it was. I know exactly, actually. Is earlier in the night, I had been at this one. That one that has a second floor on it? You're outside, has the big line. It's like kind of like a weird shaped building, has two buildings that connect together with a glass room or something. That one bar on Rainy Street? It's one of the most popular ones. We went to it.
Container Bar.
Container, yeah, went to Container Bar. And so I had been in there, and I saw everybody kind of having a good time. And here I am with these guys in their 20s. They're both total studs. Both the guys I was with, total studs. And they're having a lot of luck. And they knew the songs. I didn't know any of the songs because I had just come back to America after, being overseas. I had just come back. I was just on a trip. And I didn't really know the music. And I felt like, you start to feel a little bit old, And then also I was looking at the girls and I was kind of not sure what I was going to do. And I was kind of talked to a couple girls that I didn't really connect on. It wasn't bad. I mean, from the outside, it probably looked fine, but it wasn't raging success, And so then I'd kind of been in that mode. I think I'd had some success with a girl. I think I made out with a girl in that glass room or something, but not really successful. It was just kind of a night where this is kind of like the girl wasn't. It was just kind of like blah. And then I went outside. And I thought, fuck, I just want to leave. This sucks. And then I had come back in the other place because I found he was in another place. And then, I was not expecting anything. And I wasn't trying to be young. I wasn't feeling anything. I was just kind of like, I got to go. Kind of like I didn't have anything. I didn't know dog in the fight. I was just kind of like, whatever. And then I started talking to a girl. And then just to my surprise, she was into it. And then her friend was right there. And then she was into it. And then I bantered. And then it just kind of started going down a very natural attraction route. But earlier in the night, I had felt like a total dork. And often when I go out, because I'm not a bar guy, I don't like going to bars. I don't feel like I'm very good in bars. And I always tell people that I'm not good in bars. I don't like, you know what I mean? I don't like bars. They're too loud. I've never liked bars. I've never stayed up all night. I've never done that. If I ever did it, it's because I had to. This time I was driving. I had to be there, and I was the driver actually. So I had to stay there. But generally, I don't like to. I like to meet girls in the daytime, walking down the street, working at McDonald's, sitting in a restaurant, Starbucks, in an airport, working at Subway, whatever. Just kind of like any girl I meet in business, just kind of I'll hit on those girls, right? So my thing has never been bars. So I'm kind of uncomfortable in bars anyway. I kind of like to walk around Rainy Street and then have some food. And I can pick up a girl in the food court much easier than
by the food trucks. I've seen that actually. Another guy on the channel was with me one time, and I was sort of doing the like helping him or like winging for him, and he was having success on that little food truck area.
Yeah,
so
you remember?
It's a summit happens in Austin, and you guys will be able to see all this stuff.
You remember the two sisters that I had there? I pulled there. I don't know if you came.
I don't think so.
No, you weren't there that day. We were there for an early dinner. It was just before sundown. And I had started talking to these girls. Same thing. I wasn't expecting anything. there was two girls that looked similar, both decently cute. And then it turns out they were sisters, and they were new to Austin. They had moved from somewhere, and we just started talking. And I invited all the guys to the table, like the guys that were at the summit. A lot of them were sitting there, and then one girl was totally into it. The cuter one, actually, the younger one, and I didn't expect it, but then she added me on Instagram. Then she started. She sent me messages, and she said, "You motivated me so much that I live in Costa Rica. I'm kind of lonely." She said, what are you doing? Where are you? She wanted me to go down there. And then I didn't go down there, right? I was doing something else. And then she kind of then she went to kind of the advice mode. So later on, like a month later, she said, "What do you do when you feel lonely as an expat?" So I kind of started being an advice giver because I liked her, but I knew that it wasn't going to happen. So I just switched. I intentionally shut off my attractiveness by turning into the advice giver, which I knew would turn it off, but that was fine. At that point, I didn't really care. But
can you explain a little bit of why being the advice giver is a turnoff?
Yeah,
that's not something I initially thought of.
No, dude, it's totally lame. That's totally lame. You're not the helping guy. You're not the handyman. You're not the free helper. You're just a fucking guy, stud, having fun. Any of these guys that try to help girls, it's the weak frame. It's the beta frame. It's the friend zone frame. I'm gonna help you so much, and you're gonna fuck me. And that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So okay. I kind of refuse.
I see that now. I see that.
I refuse to do that. So when they want to advice, I'll say it in different ways, but my basic thing is like, hey, you're a woman. I'm a man. I'd love to fucking see more of your body. I won't say that, but kind of like that kind of. Oh, I might say that actually. I might say like, something not that, but something kind of sexual to them when they ask me a question about carpentry or whatever. The fuck, and the girl will be like, "Whoa," because then I'm putting on the tables like, "Babe, I see you as a hot piece of ass, and I would love to fucking groove with you. But I'm not that guy. I'm not the advice-giving weak guy who's going to fall for your stuff." Because that's what they're doing. They're testing you. They're like, "Are you going to..."
How would you respond? Like, if I'm like, pretend it's, "Hi, this is Jenna. Paul, what do I do if I want to live in Costa Rica and not get lonely?" What do you say to that?
I would say, well, the first thing you should do is stand up, and then I'll have her stand up. Yeah, turn around real slow, It starts
Nice.
Start swinging to the beat, and then just put your thumb underneath the bottom of your shirt, and just kind of lift it up a little bit, spin around, and then and then the girl will be like, "Oh shit," and then I'll let her know that I'm interested in her, in a playful way, and that I'm not going to be duped by this. I mean, I'm not saying I will never help a girl, but you have to know they're testing you. Is will you fall into the role where you're kind of helping her so that she'll pay you back? It's the same thing as the last episode. It's a form of trapping. It's like, I'm going to help you so much. I'm going to save you $30,000 on your house remodel, and then you owe me, and so we're going to have sex in your new house. It's like,
right.
I never take that perspective.
It's the fact that you, like, some guys would think, like, there's a difference, I think, between giving, like, somebody's asking you for advice and you're like, "Oh, this," or whatever, but you don't actually expect anything, versus when you do expect something from it, like a sexual favor in return for, being...
And also, too, he's like, she's mistaking me for a guy who's not sexual, that's a mistake. I am a sexual guy. So, I'm a wolf, right? So she has to know that, and I don't, at the bottom line, I care about people, but if one girl doesn't like me, that is not really going to be a big deal. You know what I mean? I want to find out, because, it's guys don't realize. Here's the thing, guys, is that the woman knows she wants a fucking man. Okay, that's why she's talking to me. That's why she talks to you. And so she wants to find out if you're a fucking man. She's going to ask all these other things. But the bottom line, what she really, heart of hearts, wants If she doesn't have it, that's why she's talking to you. Is because she's looking for a man. She might think she wants this, but once she gets a man, she'll be like, I'm so happy, She doesn't want a free help, a handyman. She's looking for a guy. Now, once she has a husband, that's a totally different thing. And that's guys that are in the husband role, they have to deal with different issues. But when you're just talking to a girl and you haven't been sexual, and like, what are you doing with her? She's talking to you, because she wants you to prove that you are the guy that can break through the tens of thousands of no's and be the guy that breaks through and is the guy who is the worthy one for her. And you know what I mean? That's what she's looking for. It's very hard to find that guy. You have to know that. So it's not about what I'm doing. I understand what she's doing.
And I think just to tie this back to something that was going on earlier, because I think you're talking about this frame of, there's like certain frames that are masculine and then ones that are not, right? And sometimes you can get fooled into being in one, right? Like that's this sort of test that she's putting out there by just seeing like how much you're willing to do, like how tempted are you by the vag that you're willing to, it's like, oh, let me do this. Oh yeah, sure. Let me spend 30 minutes of my day just like giving you advice about how not to be lonely. Like, oh, well, you should find a guy like me and blah, blah, blah. Right. And I think another thing.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So to tie it back into the thing that was happening before, but the question that was asked on your, in your comments is one thing that people do sometimes when they're in this frame of, it's because there's kind of this frame of like, I want somebody else to do shit for me, and it's like, and one element of that is seeing problems before you've reached there. Like you've reached the point where there should be, or before you've reached the problem and need to address it. Like, well, I could have multiple girls, but if I do, then there's going to be these objections, and I probably shouldn't do it. And it's like, if you want to do it, you're going to fucking do it. And then obviously there's going to be problems when you get to that stage. But if you like talking yourself out of doing things that you want to do because you're thinking about problems like way far in the future, it's like if you have that problem, do you know how good of a fucking situation you're in? Like you pulled two girls, in all likelihood, you will still keep one or two, or you've got two girls, you can get an infinite number more, right? So you like don't have a problem when you're in that situation. But then if you're in that mode of thinking, you're like, wow, if I was in this great fucking situation, it actually wouldn't be a good situation because I'd have this little problem. It's like, that's a little problem. It's such a little problem. It's insane.
Sure. And also, this is the thing, I'm going to put a comment in the beginning to listen to this first, because here's what guys don't understand, is a lot of guys who are like MGTOW guys, they're basically like, look, I don't want a girlfriend. I don't want a woman. I'm not going to get married. So don't talk about women, because that's the reason why I'm here, is because I don't, want that. And I will say the reason why you should listen to this episode is because as a man, you have many weak perspectives on life that are holding you back. And you only overcome them by facing up to them. And it doesn't matter what you do with women. It doesn't matter. You can't cover them up by not dating women. You have, like, just because you're born into Western society, you have weak viewpoints that tear your self-esteem down, and they make you lower as a man. You don't have to do anything with women. I don't have to sleep with a woman to appreciate and to feel in my gut that I'm doing the right thing when I handle a situation with a woman in my life, right? So knowing how to handle women, knowing how things work with men and women will help you in every aspect of your life, business, friendship, everything, is because it will help you to face things. Because sometimes girls will, let's say you don't want a woman and you have a friend who's kind of hitting on you at work. You'll know they're hitting on you. And you can say, like, I appreciate that you're hitting on me. And the girl she'll be like, what are you talking about? And says, I know you want to, and you'll kiss down my abs and you want to, the sweat off there, and they get her thinking, and you say, and you like switch it up and you say, but you're like, I don't want that. No, you know what? That was the wrong perspective. Let me put it another way. You, by the nature of living in society, you're going to confront women, and you have many unhealed things from your lack of knowledge of women before. And a lot of people join MGTOW because they're frustrated, right? And a lot of that frustration comes from mistakes that you made. I'm not saying you wouldn't go MGTOW anyway. A lot of very successful guys end up MGTOW. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is a lot of times that can lead you to a thing like this, right? Where you're like, okay, I just want to stay away from women. But that doesn't solve your own internal issues that you haven't worked on, right? By understanding women and understanding yourself and taking this frame in your own life, you will feel better as a man from now on. Like when you go into situations, you'll be like, fuck, Ronin's right. Even if I don't do anything, I was putting myself down. I was letting people judge me. I was letting women be above me. Even though I was
giving your power away.
Even though I wasn't, maybe, like, for example, one way that you can do it is you can react too strongly to women, right? And the reason why you react very strongly, angry or whatever, is because you feel that they are somehow hurting you, right? Like, women are not hurting me, right? They can't make me that angry. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not going to jar my emotion like that the same way. It's because I've already worked on it and I'm confident in myself and I know things are going to be fine. So you gain a lot by learning about your own mistakes in the past and about mindsets that you should have as a man. Now, whatever you want to do with these skills, if you want to use them, to sleep with women once in a while, or you just want to use them just to have more confidence in yourself. And also just once you understand the dynamics of men and women better, you're going to look around you. And every time you see a guy, let's say who goes in the handyman frame, you're going to be like, oh, I want to see what's going to happen next. And you're like, does she respect him more? And then all of a sudden you see she's like, all of a sudden she's using him more and more, asking for more favors. You're like, fuck, Ronin's right. Like, fuck. That was not a good perspective. That was not that was not the right answer. What that guy did, right? You'll be able to see life around you better. And you'll understand TV dramas better. You'll understand your friends' relationships, and you'll understand people who come up to you. Now, what you choose to do with it, that's totally up to you. But understanding women is a very valuable thing. I mean, really, you're crazy if you don't think so. Half the population's female. I don't have to sleep with a woman for my skills with women to help me in business or just in situations, whatever situation.
Yeah, because there's all kinds of things. Like, I mean, in some ways, these tests that women give men they're simulating what will happen inevitably in the real world. Well,
I mean, women can help you at work. Like, let's say you're the guy who doesn't understand women. You're always pissing everybody off. So on the surface, they don't have anything against you, right? But what happens if people don't like you? They get rid of you somehow, right? That's what people do in companies. They find a way to get rid of the people they don't like, right? So there's no benefit in being the guy that everybody doesn't like at work, right? Because that's human nature. And you too, if you're the boss. You're going to have people you like and you're going to want them to work for you. And people you don't like, you're going to try to get rid of them or switch them to another team or something, right? So being liked, working well in teams, understanding dynamics is very much to your advantage, regardless of whether you want to stay single or not, right? It's enormously valuable. I really want to pound that into guys' heads. It's so important to always be improving your skills. Always be improving your skills. With women, with men,
And an example of this that is very strong and crazy, how quickly it all happened, is, I'm sure he wouldn't mind, is Sean. Like, he I met him at the Austin Summit, and he had already, I think, come miles from when you had first met him, and you kind of gave him a few pointers on things that could help him out, and he like took the ball and ran with it, and he's continued to run with it. And in a very short time, he is like has seen the value of, because he was always like, well, I don't want to pick up women, so like this is irrelevant to me. And then somehow you showed him that it was relevant to him, and it has been like really improving his life. And it's totally inspirational to see, because we can all improve so much, no matter where you're at.
Oh, he's really doing well. He's coming to the next summit too. He's really like, yeah. Sean really, every time I talk to him, he always asks new questions, but he's always moving forward and taking, he joined Unblackmailable when I was at his house in Florida before I went up to Boston. And that was the first time that he basically told me, he said, like, you've helped me so much. He goes, I just want to join no matter what. And he did. And then also he made a commitment to make more. I could tell he kind of made a decision that he's going to keep moving forward. Right. And then he did. And he kept asking questions. And then he came to the San Francisco Summit. It was not just a one-time thing for him. He really wanted to go. He really wanted to go to where he could go. He wants to do things. He doesn't know what is out there. We all don't know, but he wants more out of life. And he wants to make better and better decisions all the time. And one of the problems with succeeding is you make a bunch of money, and if you don't keep improving, that's when you really fuck up, because now you got a lot of money. When you're broke and you make a mistake, it doesn't matter that much. But when you have real money, that's when you make a mistake. That's when you get sued. One thing that they've proven, and this is from data from doctors, is that, people think, well, I don't care if people like me. Well, they've done studies with doctors who made medical errors. It was a very interesting study. And they interviewed the patients and the doctor. And so it was the same mistake. They made they took out the wrong kidney, or they they amputated the wrong arm, something pretty serious, right? And with the doctors that the patients liked, they never sued the doctor. They sued the insurance company. They sued the hospital. They sued the city. They sued everything except for the doctor. And when they didn't like the doctor and he made the same mistake, they sued the doctor. So when you are liked by people, it might not be fair, but your life is going to go easier. And you can complain about it all you want, but it's pretty important to be liked. Like it's not it's not a small thing. Like being liked in having social skills, high level social skills, will pay off in ways that you'll never know, because you avoided something that happened to somebody else. You'll just have more of a blessed life. That's the best way to put it. Because everything that's out there is owned by another person who's a human. And the better you improve your people skills, you don't know where they're going to lead you. It's not like a mercenary thing. You're doing it for one particular reason. You just fucking, I hope guys just see value in human relationships with women and men, and see value in improving, and see value in admitting when you're wrong, and see value in, trying those hard things you don't want to try. It's because they lead you to, it's just like when you're a student, right? You might meet a teacher you like, and then they teach something that you never thought you'd be interested in, then you end up doing that for a career because you like them so much that you kind of got into it. It's like, you don't know where it's going to lead. You don't know, you're going to get a job, and then you meet a guy whose dad owns this, and then, this guy, the best story I have is this guy I know very well. He's a Chinese American guy, very cool guy. I met him in Shanghai. We were studying Chinese together. He was teaching math to this really wealthy Chinese guy's kids, and to get him into Princeton, because this guy went to Princeton. And so he was really a nice guy, super smart. And he really cared about people, and he helped this kid as much as he could. So when he was done, the dad, called him and said, look, here's the deal. You changed my kid's life. You turned him from, he hated math. I tried to help him because the dad was good at math, but I could never get him to do it. He said, you did it. You changed him. He said, I want to do something for you. and he was the vice president of Morgan Stanley. He said, "What do you want to do? If you want to work at Morgan Stanley, what do you want to do?" And my friend had just graduated, so he'd gone to Shanghai to study Chinese, but he had just finished Princeton, and he got a job at Morgan Stanley. He kicked fucking ass, and then he quit and started his own hedge fund. And now the guy is extremely wealthy. He's still young. He's very cool. But it started from the fact that he helped that kid, right? It's the people skills. A lot of people have math skills, right? But who turns that into a fucking hedge fund, right? That's the power, right? That's the power. He didn't take advantage of anybody. You know what I mean? He wasn't cynical. He was just trying to do the right thing, right? So when you care about people, when you know people, you don't know where it's going to lead. And the losers in life, they just think, well, fuck it. I'm just going to, it doesn't matter. I don't care if people like me. I don't care. And they just kind of like don't realize they live in a world full of humans, right? You need to understand that, is that there's things that you don't understand that can happen to you in a good and a bad way. So don't downplay that. It's till the end of your life, you're gonna people skills are one of your most valuable skills that you can possibly have. And you can motivate people to do things. Like I have people often, email me, they were going to commit suicide. They didn't. Who would have guessed I would get that, right?
Wow.
So who knows, right?
Crazy.
Yeah, you don't know. So just don't, when you're talking about skills of women, you're talking about skills of people, right? So you're understanding where they're coming from, but you're also understanding their biological functions and their basic, nature as an animal. We evolved. We're animals, right? And the structure behind mating and seduction, right? It's a complicated mess, And when you can play that game, there's nothing wrong with that. And understanding that game is very, very valuable, whether you do anything about it or not. Maybe you'll just take the skills of understanding women, you'll write a novel or a screenplay. Because you have to know people to write a good novel. You have to know people to write a screenplay. You have to know people to raise a child, right? And you might have a daughter. So, knowing women can really help you, right? Because if you understand people, you're not going to, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean you're going to use it to do what I want to do or what another guy wants to do. It's just, you're just generally you're going to have value in that. Don't, if I say there's one skill, and they said it in How to Win, I think Think and Go Rich, it was whatever, one of those influencers, he said, the number one skill is people skills. And it really is. That's really is the number one skill. It'll bring you the most happiness, Always remember that. Whether it's your wingman or your friend or a girl or your mom or whatever, is that's something that's worth working on,
Yeah, no doubt about that.
I think we fucking nailed it there. So just figure it's 3 days, right? Summit's 3 days. Figure 2 days before and 2 days after. So you have a total of let's see, 7 days that you can come and hang out. So don't come any earlier and don't plan on staying any later. That's what you got. You got 7 days. And sometimes, guys, a lot of times we end up hanging out and doing stuff, but the house is open. That house is open from that period. And anything after that, all bets are off, on places to stay. But as far as us all being together, hanging out, 2 days before the summit and 2 days after. So
my place is, if there's no traffic, it's like 12 minutes to downtown or less. So it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah. So, yeah, fucking awesome. We still haven't done your episode or your story, but I think this is a lot for people to think about. And there's fucking value in this one for sure. It's sometimes it's hard for me because I really I want guys to get it, how important people are, other people, so important. And it's just like sometimes people just like, they don't get it. They're just like, I'm good alone, it's like, you are good alone, you are, but there's so much more to life. Fuck, there's so much more. your world can open up, and
Yep.
it's like my world is open. I can go to any country. I have friends all over the fucking world. Like when I go to Japan, I've never rented a hotel. Like I've never had to rent a hotel, even one night. Like I go there for like 5 weeks. I got friends always that say they're like, come on over. Yeah, you gotta use my cabin or whatever. I'm always fucking having a good time the whole time I'm there, and it's because of friends. And some of them are girls too, like friends, like actually not sleeping with them, just chicks. They're just like cool, and they're just like, oh, my son loves you. You should come by. I just or whatever. Families.
Yeah.
So it's
And
like,
that's one of the great things that you bring so much value through that. Like just when we were on that road trip together, and then in various places in California, like being able to pick your brain on different social situations that are about to happen or are currently happening or like after the fact, and it's always good because usually there's like this part of your subconscious brain or my subconscious brain that sort of sees these things but
yeah,
isn't necessarily confident in believing them always. And then when you say, "Oh yeah, this," it's like, "Oh yes, now I'm more confidence believing that little perception that I had," or it's something that I totally didn't know about, and then it is great because then it's something that I can add to the repertoire that can help me avoid making some sort of faux pas.
yeah.
Like you said, I mean, that's the ultimate skill,
You know what I would
and you
love to
never
do?
really sharpen it enough.
You know what I'd love to do, which Nelson wanted me to do, because we walked into a Walmart. I can't remember where it was. It was something like, Texas or something. We were driving around in the tour, and I saw a girl, and she was pretty sexy, but she was dressed like, kind of like they do in small towns. She wasn't rich, right? But she was kind of sexy. Not that, yeah. She just had just something about her. She was just a small town girl you'd love to pound, that kind of girl. And she was young. And she was with her boyfriend. And so then I walked by her, and I looked at her, and then she looked at me like girls in small towns, they want to get out of small towns. And so,
Yes.
and I looked at her, and I looked at her like, I could roll with you. And she looked at me, and she like stood back. And then the guy who she was with, he literally grabbed her, like pulled her. And if you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't notice all the things happen in a hundredth of a second, right? But the guy sensed. And so then we got outside, and I said to Nelson, I said, she just lost total respect for that guy. Like he had an opportunity and he fucked it up. And then we came outside, and then Nelson was like, really? And then we came outside, and then she was like openly flirting with me now. As she walked out to the.
And what was the best way for him to have handled that situation?
That would be for another day. But I want to say like that type. The reason I'm saying this is that type of video I would love to do. But the thing is, I don't know how to do it because I'd have to have a video on like a hidden video all the time when I'm with you guys. And then we see situations. Because this happened a million times with Nelson. I would say something, and then I would read something, and then it would turn out to be true. And Nelson would be like, you got to film this. He's like, you got to film these things because people want to see this shit. He was totally trying to figure out a way to film it, right? And I was like, yeah, I don't know how you'd film it because it depends on them, right? You almost literally have to go to Walmart or go to a mall with a camera running, so that you can see it in real time. Because if you pull out a camera, that'll change the dynamic, right, of what's going on.
Yeah.
So I
And
might.
then you need to edit it out, and there's a lot more editing involved. But I mean, it would have so much value for sure.
Oh my God! Like I know this would be my what's that called? Like there's a word for your
the
magnum
breakthrough moment.
your magnum opus or something. Your final product. Your most if I could do this and break down real social things in real life, hardcore, and then show them, I think that people would find enormous. I've never seen anybody do this before. I think it would be enormously valuable, and could even be
Yeah.
a major hit outside this channel. But I haven't.
Oh, I
figured
think
out a way
there's
to
no
do it.
question in my mind. Like it would be absolutely stunningly breakthrough. Because I mean, just the other day, I texted you and I was like, "Yo, like, if you did a pickup channel where it was like the same type of thing, like what they call infield, where like some guy has a hidden camera and and then you have like a microphone or something, and you can see the interactions with the women. And I was just thinking about it in terms of pickup, like in America versus Thailand versus Japan and different countries to compare that. But just everyday social situations is an even broader way to look at it. And I think it even has more value,
Well, yeah, what I want to do is, if I do this, it's two things. It's something I've thought of for years. And one of them is to go to places where there's like people dating. So there's like people having dinner at like fancy place. And then I describe what he's doing and what she's doing. So we can sit there, and we tried to, actually, I did this with Nelson in Austin, I think it was. We were sitting across from the restaurant, but we were on that that river, and we were walking around that circle that we went back. We started by
around Town Lake.
the people swimming, and then we went all the way along the river, and then across the bridge, watch the sunset, and then come back to Rainy Street. Like that whole circle. Where there's those wooden walkways over the water as you're going up on the right hand side before you make the turn over the bridge and come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like bridges. You're like walking across these walkways along the river. There's like a expensive restaurant there, fancy restaurant. I was kind of like describing couples, and I wanted to break them down. I actually did an episode and I never uploaded it, but I'd like to do it with like 50 different scenarios. So maybe we have to record like 20 hours to get one 1 minute episode, right? And then just edit it out, put it in there, and then do a breakdown afterwards. And then, sometimes you can even test it afterwards and see if it was true, right? Because like that girl, when she flirted with me with the car, it was like so obvious. And Nelson was blown away. He's like, "Oh my God, you're completely right." He's like, "Holy shit." He's like, "How did you catch that?" And I want to show people how to catch these things, how to spot it in real time, so you can just like immediately respond, because that's the key thing. You have to immediately respond. Social cues from a woman are hundredths of a second. You gotta boom, and then you boom, and then bam, she's into you, 100%. They're not hard. You just have to do it quick. You have to immediately respond with the right fucking answer, And so it's not rocket science, but it's just a matter of learning the things in slow motion, practicing, and trusting yourself. And eventually you'll get where you'll kind of naturally do that.
Yeah, you need help with this. I'm down to help. I see enormous, enormous, enormous value.
We can try to film it when we're in Austin. We can try. We just have to think of a way to get a hidden camera, because you got to have the hidden camera. It's essential, because these things happen in a moment's notice. You never know when they're going to happen. So we have.
I mean, I feel like we can talk about it more after this episode or whatever. But I have a few different ideas.
Okay.
In relation, it would be helpful.
Okay. If we have like something with a long battery life and a hidden camera that we can just be cruising around, and then just basically like a patrol, like a U-boat, we're just patrolling for action,
Yes.
And then we're looking for things that stand out. It's just like calling it and then kind of testing it afterwards, because it's not about being right. It's about getting better. Even for me, I want to get better. I want to always get better at this. So I don't mind being wrong a couple times. That's totally fine. And being wrong is actually good, because then I can go back and say, ooh, okay, what did I learn from that, right? So it was just a really honest thing. That's what I want. That's kind of like to give you an idea of what I'm thinking there.
Yeah, straight gold is what that would be, no question.
Real life infield, not pickup infield. Just like the slavery of man revealed, and women's hypergamy revealed, because it's revealed all the time around you, and you need to be able to see it. You need to be able to see it so that you can make better decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
All right.
Well, I'm gonna roll, man, but this has been super good as always, and stoked for the Austin Summit, and especially this new video thing. If you are gonna do it,
I'm down. If you got the video camera ready to go, I'm gonna go do it. We're gonna try it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right? Let's give it a fucking try. So yeah, anybody final note if you want to come to the summit? Looks like it's gonna be the weekend. Looks like I'm looking at it more and more. I'm thinking, fuck it. Let's go 15, 16, 17 April. Austin. That's the next summit. 15, 16, 17. And we got we're going to have a great time. So you can come 2 days early, so the 13th, and you can leave on the 19th, right? So 13th is a Wednesday of April, and the 19th is a Tuesday. So, and then after that, I got to get back to California. So if anybody's driving this way, I'm happy to go with you. We could share, we could cruise around and go see some shit or whatever. I'm down for stuff, definitely. If anybody does happen to be driving this way. If not, I'll just get a round trip or whatever. But it's always fun, an adventure. One more road trip, fuck, I'm always up for that.
Yep. Awesome.
All right.
Okay, man. Peace out.
Thank you. Okay. Have a good one. All
Talk to you.
right.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.